All right, so today I wanted to pop in and talk about, by the way, so rude, I'm Jen from Genuinely Living. Um, I wanted to talk to you today about something that I've learned in my years of journaling, and that's been since the 90s. I've been journaling pretty much every day routinely, and I will dive into those because I want to provide people with encouragement, because we get into all sorts of spaces in our head that sometimes don't feel so good, and I'm practiced in getting out of those and into spaces that feel a little better, at least in our minds. And I know that sometimes it feels like life is really heavy and hard, and I'm never asking you to pretend that that's not true. That isn't, something that I'm asking you to deny your problems and be all Pollyanna about life. But today specifically, I wanted to talk about being a yes to you. And so I've been kind of aggressively being a yes to me. And that does not mean, oh, everything I want, I just say yes to. And, but what it does mean is I turn towards those things that light me up and give me energy, and I turn away from things that drain me. So maybe an approach you're taking toward a project or towards something that you're wanting to do or accomplish feels really draining, and it feels like I would rather do anything than this. So let me give you an example. Today, I first took an amazing walk, which felt so good and so in alignment with what I am about, taking good care of myself and just enjoying life, and that brings me a lot of joy. So I went and I did that. And then the next thing that actually was going to bring me some joy, believe it or not, was reconciling a bank account. And I get on my computer, and can I just say, computers, and sometimes like hooking up my printer because I needed to do that, I was like needing to download the driver and download this extension and download that. And it was taking me forever. And then I needed to know all these ports and blah, 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 blah. But it was something that I wanted to get done because it was moving a project forward for me. And so it was a mundane task that I didn't enjoy, which is my point. But I did enjoy it because I got it done. Even though throughout the process, did I swear? Yes. Did I get upset? Yes. And sometimes those things that are going to bring you lasting joy, like completing it and getting it done and sticking with it when it's hard, and the mundaneness and the boringness and the frustration that you feel, sometimes on the flip side of that thing is exactly what you're wanting to feel, which is a little bit of progress, a little bit closer to where you're trying to be. So if that's you today and you're just kind of muddling through some discouragement or frustration or a feeling that you don't prefer, just know that this is just a little stumbling block on the path. Maybe it's a big stumbling block, I don't know. I've had plenty of those, some giant stumbling blocks, and we will get into those as time goes by with these videos. But just know that sometimes those things that appear to just be like this ongoing frustration are just a step closer to where you're trying to be. And they're just part of the journey sometimes. So I know there's loads of content out there that wants you to sort of just Pollyanna, just pretend. And I'm not saying that it's not great content, because I absolutely love just putting myself into a place that feels much better mentally. I love doing that. It's one of my favorite things to do. And then there are times when I really struggle with it. So if that's you and you're struggling with it, just know, keep going. Keep going. You've got this, you are so close. And so the other thing that I shared with someone recently who I know is on their path, and it's not feeling like it because they're going through those mundane daily struggles, and it just feels like the same day over and over and over again. I've been there. I know how that feels. And I was trying to encourage them with that thought that, you're going to get there. You're on the path. And so I was sharing the story where I had looked at this particular woman and I had compared myself to her and like just saw the distance between us, between me and her. So I saw her success level, I saw her, her personality, her vivacious attack of life, and like her, even the way she looked was so gorgeous. And I was just like, and here I am, and I'm comparing myself and that distance between us, right? But then I thought about something. And it really shifted things for me so much that I do this all the time now. I can't even be around her, and she can't even be in my vision if I'm not on the same path. So maybe you know some people in your own life who only hang out in the same places over and over, and they complain about the same things over and over, and they just stay stuck in the same world over and over with the same people. And you know that those people are like not bringing them higher. They're just kind of like keeping them in this negative space that doesn't feel good, that isn't ending well. We all know people like that, right? And if they just like stepped out of that little circle that they're in and maybe like brushed up against a different place, a different thought process, a different person, a different idea, just a different perspective. If they just stepped out into that. This is why I love travel so much, because like we hear one story on the news and then you actually go to the place and it's like, yeah, it's not quite like you described. It's good to get different perspectives. So now instead of looking at the distance between me and that person, I'm like, we're on the same path. Like, we're so similar, we're on the same path. I can't even be around her if that's not true. So maybe you're comparing yourself to people with a better job, or people with a better body, or what you're perceiving to be a better body, or a better house, or a better financial situation, or a better relationship. Every time you see somebody that is whatever it is you're aspiring to be, just know that that's evidence that you're on the same path. And if you weren't, you wouldn't be around them. You'd be around that same silly circle that we just described the person before, that they're just stuck in the same rut and with the same people and the same story playing over and over and over again, but you're not. So instead of being jealous, instead of being envious, instead of comparing yourself and noticing the gap, notice you're close. And every time just use that as evidence that you're getting closer and closer and closer and closer until you're right there with them. And that person now is a really good friend of mine, and I'm so thankful for that shift in me. I hope this provided you some encouragement today to live genuinely.